Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the LeagueRacing TV YouTube channel for round. I believe it. I can't even actually remember what round of the season it is. We've been had so many races so far, but we are here at Japan for the next round of the season in Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through proceedings tonight, as always. And joining me on a Thursday evening is TTG Conti. Conti, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. And to help you out a bit, I believe it is round 9 today.
Yes, it is. You are correct. Yeah, it is round 9. Blimey, we've flown through the season already. I thought it was round 8, but we've already had 8 rounds this season. So yeah, just goes to show that the time flies when you're having fun. But coming to Japan for the next round of the season, obviously we've only got 3 rounds to go in this season, including this one. And up to this point, we've kind of had maybe like a nail-on idea of who could be the champion this season. But after the last few rounds, it's kind of been a bit all up in the air.
It has. And at the moment, Jan holds the best cards. But behind him, still, Ice Topic and B Morgan are really, really close. So, still really exciting. And nothing is done yet.
Yeah, everything still to play for. We've obviously only got 3 rounds left in the championship, so not a lot of points left for these drivers to pick up. So we've kind of got to narrow it down really to the 3 main championship protagonists that we have. And at the moment, they are, like I say, Jan leading the championship, and then second place, 13 points behind Jan in the standings, is both B Morgan and Simply Super and Isotopic. Sorry, both of those drivers are on exactly the same points. It just goes to show how close it has been so far this season. Behind those 3, it's a little bit of a gap back now. 22 points further back is Simply Superman, and he is 1 point ahead of Steph. That's the top 5. Old School, after winning for the first time last time out at Singapore, he's on 97. 95 points for Lighty, just behind him in 7th in the standings. And it's Kiki, Hero Joking and Langfell that round off the top 10 in the championship. Langfell off the back of his first podium as well last time out at Singapore. So you've got to say that whilst Old School Steph, Simply Superman have had good runs this season, they're going to have to hope for a bit of bad luck for the top 3 to try and win this championship, aren't they?
Yeah, they do. But to be honest, B Morgan had his fair share of bad luck last couple of races. So I hope he has a good one. But yeah, they need a bit of luck. I mean, performing okay, but Jan, Ice Topic and B Morgan the more stable drivers at the moment.
Yeah, they definitely are. They have been the ones to look out for so far this season. They've all had kind of very different very different kind of season so far, haven't they? B Morgan, you've got to say, has been probably the outright fastest driver. He's not been the outright fastest in qualifying, but his race pace has been very strong all season long, and he has missed out on a couple wins. You'd have to say at this point he should have been really the championship leader. Isotopic's flown completely under the radar, you have to say, so far, and then Jan has been incredibly consistent. No matter having a good or bad race, good or bad qualifying, he always seems to end up in the top side of the top 10. So all 3 drivers, completely different seasons, but they're all still very close together.
Yeah, they are. And talking of a completely different season, we talked about it a little bit before we went live. Hero Joken came in flying with a last to first, and after that didn't come together for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, the second half of the season just really hasn't gone Hero Jokin's way. He's not quite had the outright speed that he showed in the early few races of the season, but we are ready then for qualifying here at Japan. We are going to ride on board with Isotopic, who last time out at Singapore should have won the race, but he was caught out by an odd strategy and ended up having contact with Nolan, I believe, later on in the race, and that cost him the opportunity to take the win, unfortunately. He was looking so fast last time out, and he'll be trying to make up for it tonight. Through the first sector he comes, and now into the second sector of the lap. Simply Superman has already retired from qualifying. He's crashed in the first part of the S section, which is incredibly easy to do here at Suzuka. So Simply Superman 4th in the championship, already on the back foot once again. He'll be starting this qualifying in last position, 18th on the grid. Isotopic now heading through the second sector, then coming up towards the double apex of Spoon. Fast on the first part, and then it slows down in the second part of the corner. Little bit of understeer mid-corner is very natural. Now down this back straight. No DRS down here, only one DRS zone on the track. They come up to the second sector split, and then into the third sector, the shortest sector on the track. 1 minute 10.6, but that's immediately beaten by the Williams behind him on the road, which I believe is Kiki, and now into the Casio triangle of 16, 17 and 18 through the last corner. No bump on this game, so it is much easier to get the car out of this corner, down towards the line. Keep it to the right hand side as much as you can. It's a 26.8 for Isotopic, and behind them on the road, that's Old School and Yan, a 27.1 and a 27.2. They both had fast middle sectors, but they were so close to each other on track when doing their laps, they actually ended up holding each other up. And there we go, once again, man of the moment so far this season, TNR Steph, a 26.4, nearly half a second clear at the front of the field. Break FN goes second with a 26.5. That's a great lap from the Alfa Romeo man. Nolan goes directly in the middle of them in the McLaren on the 26.4. Hero Joking goes fourth ahead of Isotopic. So a bit of a mix-up grid so far, but once again, it's TNR Steph at the front of the field.
Yeah, TNR Steph, his quali pace is just, yeah, outrageously fast. I mean, second half of the season, he's performing really, really well in quali. His race pace is there as well. A bit unlucky sometimes, but yeah, great quali run again from him.
Yeah, really, really strong stuff, and it's Nolan on the front row at the moment alongside him. Those two had an amazing battle with the British round. Go back and watch that if you get the time. That was an incredible race between Steph and Nolan, and they ended up costing each other the possibility of the win. Steph, though, did go and win the next time out. So, Steph, as we were just saying, though, Steph has been the man of the moment, really, so far. We were talking about this before the start of the stream, but Steph didn't get off to the best of starts this season. He was kind of languishing at the bottom end of the top 10. I think after the third round of the season, he was 12th or 13th in points, was really nowhere, and we didn't really think about him too much. He had a great qualifying in Baku, and that was the first kind of inkling that we had that he had good pace. And then from there on out, you've got to say that Steph has been the man to beat. Yeah,
he has been. Baku really got him his confidence that he could compete with the top guys here, and after that, it's all he did. His speed great, as Steve puts in a 1:26.9. At the moment, his speed is great, and really outperforming everybody at the moment.
Yeah, doing a stellar job is Steph. He comes back off of another podium last time out. Benefited a little bit with the chaos around him on the track. Singapore was a bit of a chaotic race if he hadn't tuned into it, but Steph did end up with another podium, and now only 1 point behind Simply Superman in the standings when he was about 60 points behind the Alfa Romeo driver earlier on this season. So if Steph can continue that run, it's not over for him in the championship. There are still plenty of points to be collected, especially with the different point system we run in this championship. So there's still a long way to go, and still a lot of points to be up for grabs. So even though you've got to say our top three are the ones we've got to keep an eye on for the championship, Steph is still an outside shot.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, pole position gets you 2 points as well, I believe, in with the point system we're running. So every pole position, just 2 extra points. And yeah, as long as he keeps finishing on the podium, who knows what happens around him. Like last race and a couple of races before, with B. Morgan, Isotopic. So who knows where he ends up at the end of the season.
Yeah, like you say, last time out, all three of our top three in the championship did not have a good run. Yang qualified towards the back. B. Morgan got damage on the first lap, and Isotopic got damage in the middle part of the race, so they were nowhere near really the peak of where they could have been in that race. I think B. Morgan was the highest finisher of the drivers. I believe it was in 7th place he finished last time out, so they were really struggling to try and have a clean race last time out. B. Morgan recovered well after damage on the first lap, but you've got to say that without that damage, B. Morgan would have been much higher up in the race, and he wasn't able to do so. Just saying who else is on laps at the moment. Kelvin and Damon are the next ones to start lap times in qualifying. Damon's starting his lap right in the middle of some traffic. Oh, and he's done, I think, exactly the same thing as Simply Superman. Gets on the curb and loses the rear of the car. I think he's going to get away with it. He's going to continue on in the session, but that is exactly what Simply Superman's done, and that is very easy to do at the start of that sector. So easy to just run a little bit too much on the curb on the inside and you can lose the car, and Damon's been caught out by it. So we'll ride with Kelvin in the Red Bull and see what he can do. Kelvin had his best run, I believe, last time out in Singapore as well, so we'll see if he can continue on that momentum, start to work his way forwards in the standings. Red Bull have not really had the season they would have wanted so far. They've kind of been languishing at the bottom end of the top 10. Sean had a great start to the season, but hasn't been here for the last few rounds, unfortunately, and he's dropped outside the top 10 in points because of it, which is a shame to see, and Kelvin hasn't been able able to back up his teammates so far, but he is now coming through Spoon. A little bit of grass on the entry there through the first part and now into the second part of the corner. Keep it off the apex, that's too much apex there, and you will spin the car out down this back straight. Then keep it to the left hand side for the shortest run and then move it back over to the right for 130R, and it is a 1 minute 11.2 by the end of the second sector. That's quite a way off what we've seen so far. This lap time will probably put him around the likes of Charlie and maybe Old School. Old School currently down in 12th in qualifying. That's not where he would want to be at the moment, but here comes Kelvin around the final corner, keeps it to the right hand side for the shortest run, crosses the line, goes P14 just behind Charlie and ahead of Flores, but not quite where Kelvin would have wanted to be. But looking at the overall order so far, obviously Damon hasn't set a representative time and Simply Superman is out of the session. Old School though has got to be the one that's most out of position at the moment, down in 12th place.
Yeah, Old School, and yeah, I think Liang fell as well. I mean, we saw he could qualify up higher as well. But yeah, Old School definitely not what we were expecting from him. But as we were on board with him with his lap, he had a bit of a sketchy first sector, so there's a lot of time to improve for him, and I believe he will do that.
And look at that first sector from Old School. It was a little bit wide there in the second Degner, but it was nearly 6/10 up on his personal best in the first sector. That's a whole heap of time. That improvement alone could put him up to 5th place. So let's see if he can continue on with this lap and find even more time. There's more people setting lap times out on the track at the moment. Jan's just crossed the line and gone 5th fastest. So that's a good improvement for him. Goes only 2 places behind his closest championship rival, B Morgan. Isotopic still 8th place in qualifying at the moment. He's on another lap, I believe, just behind Old School on the track, as is B Morgan as well. I think B Morgan might be getting a tow from his teammate down the back straight, so that's going to help him in his bid to get back onto pole position. Break FN has now just gone onto the front row ahead of Nolan. The top 3 separated by just over 1/2 of a second. That is incredible stuff. Nolan's dived into the pit lane, so he's not improved on his time. Here comes Old School around the last corner. What is his time going to be? He hasn't been able to jump to the front of the field, winner last time out, and goes pole with a great improvement, a 26.3 from 12th all the way up to pole position. B Morgan's going to dive into the pit lane. He wasn't able to improve on his time, and then Isotopic, wow, what a time from Isotopic from absolutely nowhere. A 26 dead, exactly 0.365 ahead of Old School in qualifying. I thought Old School's lap was stellar. That came from nowhere from Isotopic. That's a brilliant lap time.
Yeah, it is indeed brilliant. I didn't expect. I mean, we obviously know that he's fast, but I didn't expect something like this today. I mean, I was going for the 26.5s or something. This is great.
Absolutely brilliant lap time for Isotopic, and that's a proper lap time to put down. That's a lot of people are going to struggle to beat that. Kiki crosses the line, goes onto the front row, goes ahead of his teammate then, does Kiki, on a 26.3. Good lap time for him. I believe Steve will be next to cross the line in the Mercedes. No, that's Jan actually coming into the pit lane. We've got one of the Alfa Romeos in front as well. I believe that is Break FN coming back into the pit lane. So it is going to be Steve, but he's just come through the second sector split now, and he's going to be coming up to the last corner. He has made a mistake somewhere on the lap, so I think he's going for another run on the same set of tyres. So we'll wait and see what he can do. One of the Haas cars is on a lap behind him on the road. I believe that might be... No, that's Damon coming round to start his next one in qualifying as well. Steph tried another run and wasn't able to improve. So we'll wait and see what Steph has still got in his back pocket. He's been the king of qualifying recently, but Isotopic had a great run last time out in Singapore and is trying to repeat that today.
Yeah, he did, and he does, at least till now. And it's good to see Kiki up there as well. Talking about bad luck, he's shown us some pace around a couple of races, but yeah, just unlucky or spins the car in some races. So I think it's good for him that he's in P2 at the moment.
Yeah, definitely good for him that he's up there, and like you say, he's had so much bad luck. He's had incredible pace all season long. It's just every time we talk about Kiki during a race, something goes wrong, and if we do really curse him, I think he might be frustrated with us at this point in the season, but he has got some searing pace, so we'll wait and see if he's able to fully unlock that as the season goes on. Hero Jokin was the next person to improve, meanwhile up onto a 26.5 to go 8th place, just behind B Morgan. B Morgan currently 7th place then, behind Isotopic in the standings. He's ahead of Jan by about 1/10 of a second, but Isotopic, if B Morgan and Jan can't improve, Isotopic is sitting in a great position here.
Yeah, especially because track position is well, quite important around this track, because it isn't easy to overtake. So you want to be up there after quali, and it will help him out massively. and we saw that he can do great and has great pace when he doesn't drive in dirty air, um, and he does good just driving away from P2.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what he can do. Nolan, meanwhile, is on another lap in the McLaren. He was a tenth and a bit up on his personal best in the first sector, so we'll see if he can continue that improvement throughout the rest of this lap then. We've got one of the Alpha Tauris driving slow down the back straight. That will be Hero Joking coming back to the pits. I wonder whether he was running solo on field, that he's actually run out of field before he's got back to the pit lane. XL Nolan then coming through Spoon, a little bit wide of the apex on both parts of the corner actually, but gets away with it. Doesn't use a lot of the exit curb on the corner either. They're easy to spin on the exit as well, so here comes Nolan to the second sector split. Has he found any more time in the middle part of the lap? Yes, he has. He's 2 and a bit tenths up now on his time. This could put him on the front row. If he finds a lot of time in the final sector, he could take pole position off Isotopic, but it's going to have to be a mega final sector from Nolan to pull that off. He comes through with the Casio triangle. Little bit of a wobble on the exit of the chicane that might affect his run to the line. Crosses the line. Does find a little bit of time in the last sector and does a 26.1. Goes on to the front row ahead of Kiki, but still 0.182 behind Isotopic. He's not found enough time to close in on the racing point, and that might be his last one in qualifying. There's not a lot of time left in this session. Nolan's going to have to get back into the pit lane quickly and get another set of tyres on. That's going to be really close for Nolan to get back out again, but even so, it's a good lap from him. Break FN will be the next person inside the top 10 to go for another lap. Currently in 6th place, just exactly almost the same as Steph. Had a good start to the qualifying and then just hasn't been able to find the amount of time that other people have throughout the session, so we'll wait and see what he can do. It looks great through Dunlop. Someone else has just improved. That was Charlie that's gone P7 in the Ferrari, and what a first sector for Break FN, 3 tenths up on his personal best. That's already going up to a 26.1, so let's see if he can continue on this lap time in the Alfa Romeo. The other Alfa Romeo of Simply Superman, remember, has crashed out of qualifying, currently 4th in the standings. Meanwhile, his closest rival in the standings, Steph, is 5th on the grid at the moment, so this is going to be crucial for Alfa Romeo as a team if they can get Break FN to the front of the field. Break FN has showed good pace so far, but just like really we've seen from Kiki, it just hasn't materialised so far in a race for him. Through the second sector, then a little bit wide there coming out of Spoon, but gets away with it. Down this back straight then, and then into the second sector split. What is his time compared to his personal best? He crosses the sector point now. He's lost a bit of time in the middle part of the lap, but not too much. It's 2 tenths up still at this point in the lap. Can he retake? Can he get onto the front row? Can he take that second place off of Nolan, who just got that time in? Break FN comes round the final corner. Look, much neater, keeps it all the way to the right hand side, crosses the line, and he does go ahead of Nolan and on to the front row. That's a great lap again for Break FN, and he's another one showing his pace in qualifying.
Yeah, he does, and last race out as well, he did a great job as on the hards, I believe, whilst everybody was on the medium. So yeah, again, great lap from him. Now let's hope it all comes together in the race as well.
Have to wait and see. Meanwhile, I'd just like to say that once, I mean, we say it, I think I sound like a broken record. D3 qualifying has been so close all season, but the top 11 at the moment covered by just under 7 tenths of a second. That is incredible around a track that's as technical and twisty as this. That is incredibly close. Lighty was on a lap, has invalidated in the middle part of the lap. He was 2 tenths up on his personal best through the first sector, so he would have found a bit of time as the lap's gone on, but he's just unfortunately invalidated, so he's going to have to go again on the same set of tyres. He will be the next person to start a lap. Pretty much everyone is back out on the track apart from Charlie and Nolan. As I believe, I don't believe that they're going to be able to get back out on track. Nolan and Charlie aren't going to be able to get back out then for their final runs in qualifying. So 3rd and 7th is the best they can hope for at this moment. Nolan has gone back out, but there's only 1 minute and 10 seconds left in qualifying. He won't be able to get back to the line in time to do a lap. So we'll continue on with Lighty and see if he continues to improve at the moment. Currently 13th. He'll want to be a bit higher than that. He had a great start to the season as well, and he goes onto the curb a little bit on the inside of Dunlop, gets away with it, but it was just a little bit anxious on the throttle there through the corner. Comes across the first sector split, is still 3 tenths up in the first sector, but that's 3 tenths down on the best first sector we've seen so far, and loses the car coming out the second. Degner, how on earth did he keep that out of the wall? That was well held from Lighty, but just goes to show he is really pushing that car, trying to get every single tenth he can out of it at the moment. It's just not working so far. Everyone else is now starting their final runs in qualifying. Break FN has dived back into the pit lane, so he will be able to set another time in qualifying. Lighty then through Spoon Can he find even more time in the middle part of the lap? Currently 13th on the grid, trying to break inside the top 10. His teammate at the moment has out-qualified him so far. And I think that might be the first time this season that Charlie's going to out-qualify Lighty if it stays like this. Lighty through the second sector split is now 4.5 tenths up. He's finding even more time as the lap goes on. This could put him into the bottom end of the top 10. All depends on his final sector. Through the chicane, a little bit deep on the brakes there. Has to compromise the second part of the chicane, and that was a bit of a messy end to that for Lighty as he comes up to the line. Where does he go from 13th? He goes only 12th in the end. Lost a bit of time in that final sector, and Lighty will probably be a little bit disappointed with that run.
Yeah, I believe he does. Final chicane cost him. He would have had a nice top 10 time, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, Beam Morgan, meanwhile, has found some good time in the middle sector. Purple middle sector, 4 tenths up on his personal best. Can he find time in the last part of the lap? Comes to cross the line and just misses out on pole position by 22 thousandths of a second. Beam Morgan's on the front row alongside his championship rival. Across the line comes Kiki. He can't improve on 5th place. We've got the racing point. Sorry, Isotopic is invalidated. So he comes into the pit lane. He can't improve on his 26th flat. Across the line came someone behind him. That was, I believe, Jan that's crossed the line. Only P8 for Jan, so he's the lowest of our championship 3 at the moment. We've got Steph on a lap coming through the last corner, but he's invalidated, and it would have put him, I believe, 4th in qualifying if that lap time was valid. Old School now comes up to the line. Can he find any time? No, he can't. He stays 6th. Langfell's gone 9th. Meanwhile, across the line goes Hero Jokin. He now goes 9th position. Harry Nawag will be next across the line in the Renault. Where can he go with his time? He goes only 14th. He can't improve on his position, so it's only Flores left in qualifying who's yet to set a time, and he's not found any time so far on this lap. He comes through the last corner. Can he improve on 15th? No, he can't. So in the end, Isotopic just about held on as everyone in their final runs couldn't quite find the time. What a lap though from in the middle part of the session from Isotopic to grab pole position.
Yeah, it is. B Morgan came close, 22 thousandths of a second, but yeah, great lap from Isotopic again.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from them from Isotopic. He does a 26 dead to round off qualifying, then 22 thousandths of a second ahead of B Morgan. That is going to make for a great race between those two. Break FN, 3rd place in qualifying, his best qualifying of the season ahead of Nolan, Kiki. Old School, Steph only 7th in the end ahead of Jan, Hero Jokin and Langfell running off the top 10. Charlie in 11th place ahead of Steve, Lighty, Harry Nawag, Flores, Kelvin, Simply Superman and Damon are the 18 people in qualifying. Damon and Simply Superman not setting times in the session. So a little bit of a truncated field with some new people at the front of the field, especially Break FN. That's his best qualifying of the season, and that is a marker down for other people, maybe going into next season as well. Maybe he could be a contender next season.
Yeah, I think, or it's just a really technical driver, and the track really suits him. I mean, this track is really difficult, especially the first sector. So it has to suit you to do well, and yeah, great job from him now.
Okay, so we're now getting ready then for the start of the race, and it looks like we're going to have a nice dry race then. No weather interfering with this one. It is nice, clean, well, nearly clear skies. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's nice and sunny for the Japan race, so it's all going to be dependent on what strategies people go for in the end for this race. And around this track, despite this track being very technical with a lot of high-speed corners, this track is relatively low on tyre wear, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You have to be a little bit careful on your tires, but a soft medium or a medium soft strategy is on here, so it's not as high demanding as some other tracks.
Yeah, definitely is. Compared to Singapore that we had last time out, this is kind of similar in the way to we had to Britain, where it has a lot of high-speed corners, but the track itself isn't actually that abrasive, and it's smooth. It's not very bumpy, so it doesn't really take a lot out of the tyre. So we'll have to wait and see what people have gone for. We've actually got a real mix of strategies outside the top 10. So outside the top 10, obviously everyone inside the top 10 is on the set of softs they qualified on. Outside, Charlie in 11th is on the mediums, which is very understandable. Hard compound tyres for Steve and Lighty. That's a bit of a strange call, especially if you could think medium soft could work around here. Harry Nawag and Flores have gone for the mediums. Kelvin has gone for the soft compound tyres. Simply Superman has gone for the hards in 17th, and Damon, last on the grid, has gone for a set of soft compound tyres, although I don't think Damon is in the session, unfortunately, so I have to wait and see if he can join back before the start of the race. But yeah, a real mix of tyre strategies outside the top 10, and those hard compound tyres, they may help a little bit towards the midpoint of the race, but at the start, they're going to have absolutely no grip at all.
No, they're so much slower than the medium tires. The medium tires actually feel quite good, and soft tires can overheat them quite quickly. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't go for the hard tires, but yeah, maybe they've got a little bit more aggressive time trial like setup, and they need to go on the hard to make it to the end of the race in a one-stop strategy.
Maybe, yeah, they don't want to take the risk of doing that medium soft if they think that they're going to get to puncture territory fairly quickly. There's the predicted pit stop strategy for you on the screen. It is saying that it is soft hard around here, although we may see people go for soft mediums. Expect people on the softs to be pitting around lap 8 or 9 at the very earliest, and that's if they're going onto the hards. If they want to go onto the mediums, you've got to say they're probably going to be in about lap 10 or 11 in this race to make it a 16-lap stint on the mediums, which if they can do 11 laps and a qualifying stint on the softs, they should be able to get to the end of the race fairly easy on a set of medium tyres. Before we get going then for this race, Conti, who is your top 3 prediction?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a boring one, I think, but B Morgan I'm going to put on P1. I think Ice Topic is doing great at the moment. He's in a good flow, so I'm going to put him second. And third, I'm going for Kiki.
Kiki third, then let's see if Kiki can get that podium. Remember, the front two on the grid, 2 championship contenders on exactly the same points. Well, after qualifying, Isotopic maybe a couple points ahead, but coming into this round, they were level on points, 13 points behind Jan, who is 8th on the grid. So keep an eye out for that one in this championship. But here we go then for the start of the Japanese round of the TTML Division 3 series. The lights are coming on ahead of the drivers. Who is going to get the best start off the front row? Lights are out very quickly, and away they go. And B Morgan had better reactions. How is the second phase of the start? B Morgan again has had a good second phase. Isotopic though is going to try and sweep around the outside at turn 1 and holds onto it. Break FN's under pressure from Nolan, who's got a good start in the McLaren. He's down the inside and gets the move done, and Break FN losing the rear of the car there, and that mate Old School had to back out of the move on his teammate. Old School had to back out of the move for 5th place, so he drops back down into 6th. We've got a yellow flag at the back of the field. That's Flores that's gone off the road somewhere, unfortunately. We'll have to wait and see if he's got any damage or not. Inside the top 10 though, it is fairly stable. Steve has
going off as well.
Yeah, someone going off the back. Yeah, Harinawag off the road at the back of the field. He's managed to keep going with no damage. I think Flores has no damage as well. Yeah, he is safe. He can continue on in this race. But looking towards the front of the field, not really any change. The only change to the front of the field was Nolan having a good start.
Yeah, Nolan had a great start. But Ice Topic as well. B Morgan kept his cool, just slid him behind Ice Topic at the start and saving his race. And I think he's going to try something in a couple of laps time.
Yeah, and already Jan is all over the back of Steph. Steph's not had a great start to this race. He's dropped a little bit back from the 2 Williams drivers, so Jan is trying to get the move done. There's a little bit of a queue forming behind the Haas driver, who doesn't look as comfortable around this track as he has done in previous rounds. Can Jan try and get the move done maybe into the Casio triangle? Remember, no DRS for the first couple of laps in this race. There won't be for the first 3 laps actually, because the detection point is at the Casio triangle, and the Williams pairing are going side by side, and that's held them up massively. And Steph has already re-caught them, so you can tell Old School trying to get the move done on his teammate, but that's actually going to cost him. That's going to cost him time behind, as now here comes Jan, I believe, on the back of Steph. Steph's going to have to move to the inside line. Jan trying to get the move done on Old School as well. He's a little bit sideways. He just about holds the car coming through turn 2. A little bit messy there, but they get away with it. Steph can't get the move done on Old School, and Jan can't get the move done on Steph, so they stay in the same order for the time being, but that's allowing Kiki to get up the road.
Yeah, and Kiki and Old School fighting, it really costing Old School at the moment. I mean, he really needs the points to keep into the championship as a championship contender, and I think he isn't happy with Kiki as a teammate at the moment.
Yeah, I imagine he wouldn't be. You're trying to get that move done, and it just hasn't paid off for him. So he's dropped a little bit back. He'll try and close back in. It says 0.2 of a second. The gap is obviously a lot larger than that. That will sort itself out as this race goes on. Looking further down the field then as to what is happening at the back, we've got one of the Ferraris side by side. Langfell hasn't had a great start to this race. He started 10th. He's down to 12th now. Steve on the hard compound tyres has passed him, and now Charlie is through as well. Steve has had a stellar start to this race at the moment, currently running in 10th place on the hards. He's got ahead of Charlie somewhere in the early phase of this race, and he's trying to latch onto the back of Hero. Joking is Lighty, I think, has gone off the road. Yes, he has. Lighty spun coming out of the second part of Spoon. I don't know if he's hit the wall or not. We'll have to wait and see. But Lighty on those hard compound tyres, not finding the same grip as Steve or simply Superman, who's also had a good start to this race. They're working their way forwards, and Langfell's trying to get the move done again at the Casio triangle on Charlie, but just cannot get it done. They're going for the moves early, and it's just not working. There's just not a lot of places really to overtake around this track. Langfell now trying to get down the inside towards turn 1. Charlie is going to try and hold the outside line. Can he sweep around the outside? No, he can't. Langfell's back up into 11th place, but all this fighting is giving Steve a great opportunity on those hards to pull away. And I tell you what, Steve on the hards must be lapping this up. He's got great pace at the moment.
Yeah, he's already up 2 positions from where he started and really finding pace. And yeah, Langfeld, Charlie fighting behind him, costing them time. But he himself isn't losing too much time on Hero Joken, who's on a soft compound of tires. So he's doing really well at the start of the race.
Yeah, definitely is finding a lot of pace at the moment, and Hero Jokin's coming up to the back of Jan. Jan, having had a go at Steph, is starting to lose touch with the Haas driver in front of him a little bit. So I wonder if Jan's starting to struggle a bit more as this race goes on. At the front of the field, Isotopic still leads the way. B Morgan is just within DRS range, but it's right on the bubble. If Isotopic can break DRS, that would be great for his race. And B Morgan, well, Isotopic is using a lot of his ERS to try and do that, but B Morgan is just sticking with it. XL Nolan stays in third at the moment. He's outside of DRS Central, B Morgan in front, but has broken DRS to Break FM behind. So at the moment, Nolan's third place is safe. Break FN is the one coming under attack from Kiki, with Old School, Steph, Jan, and Hero Jokin, and Steve, and Langfell all within DRS range behind. So one of those traditional DRS trains is coming to fruition here.
Yeah, it does, and it really is a DRS train track, this, because you only have one opportunity to overtake. So, but yeah, Kiki at the moment is doing great. He's really putting the pressure on Break FM, but we've seen Break FM keeping cool under pressure. So I don't think he's got a crack relatively easy, and Kiki has to do his outrageous best to overtake him.
Yeah, Simply Superman, meanwhile, has got them moved on Charlie, so now the Alfa Romeo driver's up to 12th place from 17th on the grid. Simply Superman's had a good start on the hard tyres as well then. Charlie at the moment on the mediums just is really struggling for pace at the moment. He just doesn't seem to have it on these medium tyres, and Harry Noir, who had a moment earlier on in this race, has now caught the back of him as well, as Lighty passes Damon's AI car, but now drops to the back of the field, unfortunately. Front of the field, though, Isotopic and B Morgan continuing to pull away from the rest of the field. Nolan now 2 seconds back, so Nolan just doesn't have the same pace as the top two, and this is basically exactly what we saw last time out. But last time out was Isotopic and Old School that disappeared at the front of the field. This time round it's Isotopic and B Morgan.
Yeah, so again Isotopic showing his dominance. But B Morgan is easily following, but they're both using so much ERS to get the gap, and Nolan isn't using any or the minimum he has to use, and he still can keep the gap to Break FM. So I think he's just letting them go and driving his own race, trying to conceive a podium finish today.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kiki on the back of Break FN coming down the pit straight is on his ERS. Break FN's choosing not to defend this one. Kiki's going to breeze past down the pit straight. He had a lot of overspeed, has a good car in a straight line, and Kiki is up into 4th place. Break FN after that good qualifying 3rd, just doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment and has dropped down to 5th place. Old School, the next person to have a go at him. Then it's Steph and Jan behind. Hero Jokin is now coming under pressure from Steve behind, as Langfell picks up a time penalty on the inside with the first part of the S section. That's a bizarre place to pick up a time penalty. But Steve is now onto the back of Hero Jokin, and Hero Jokin you can see there sliding about. And Matt, what you said earlier on, how it's quite easy to overheat your soft tyres here, I think Hero Jokin's the first person to fall foul of it.
Yeah, and it's really hard to get them back in check, especially in Sector 1. So just you have to use a lot of lean to keep your tyres in check in the first sector. And yeah, it could be that he's going for a 2-stop or stopping earlier than the guys around him on the soft tires.
Yeah, maybe Hero Jokin for him, it might be worth coming in maybe in a couple laps time and going to the hards, because he is definitely struggling at the moment with a lot of understeer and just doesn't seem to have the grip in those tyres. So maybe a switch to a harder set of tyres would be more beneficial than the set of mediums that you might have to wait a few more laps for. We're coming on to lap 6 of this race already. This race is already flying by. These first laps have gone pretty quickly, and since Kiki's got that move done on Break FN's now swarming all over the back of the Williams van once again. So Kiki hasn't been able to break away, and Break FN's done a good job at sticking with him. Will Break FN go for the move down this pit straight? Is going to stick in behind. Kiki is using his ERS to defend. Break FN has more ERS at his disposal though, and goes to the inside line for the first corner, and Break FN retakes that 4th place. So he regrouped well on that lap and is back up into 4th ahead of Kiki, and they are still only 1.3 seconds behind Nolan. So if they weren't battling as much, and if one of them was able to get away, you would imagine that either one of these drivers should be able to catch Nolan quite quickly, because as Nolan is sitting there in 3rd place saving his ERS, he's not under threat from the drivers behind, and the two in front of him are just disappearing.
Yeah, not yet, but when either Break FM or Kiki gets in, or maybe Old School, because he's really pushing hard on Kiki as well, get in their rhythm, can get in front. I think they would be able to catch Nolan, because he's, I think kind of a Sunday drive, it seems.
Yeah, definitely at the moment. I think he might be becoming a little bit bored being on his own at the moment. He's got no pressure in front and no pressure behind. And yeah, like you say, Old School is starting to rally onto the back of his teammate once again. And Steph is right in the thick of the action as well. We know how fast Steph has been in previous rounds. Maybe didn't have the best of qualifyings, didn't have the best start to the race either, but he's trying to work his way through. These guys have dropped Jan. So Jan at the moment, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose just to try and save his tyres, or whether Jan just doesn't seem to have the pace because he's dropped back from Steph. And Hero Joking is starting to re-close in on him. And now Steve is even closer to the back of his teammate. Meanwhile, they are going for it in front of the two Williams drivers again into the Casio triangle. This time around, Old School is going to try and get the move done on his teammate, and he does. Does he get that move done? I don't think he did actually. No, Old School was on the other side of the track. I got the two Williams cars mixed up. Old School again trying the move on his teammate, but Kiki is trying to defend as much as he can. Old School's going to try and move to the inside line, but he doesn't have the speed in a straight line to get the move done, and they waste an opportunity to try and get past Break FN by battling themselves. Old School then trying to get the move done that Casio triangle, couldn't pull it off, and that didn't allow Kiki the opportunity to get after Break FN.
Yeah, and just look at the ERS difference now. Kiki and Old School almost used everything they had. Went to the front and his. So yeah, this brings Steph into play as well. I mean, he can just stay behind, and yeah, it's almost in the gearbox of Old School at the moment. That's how close he is, and I think he's waiting his opportunity, because if we keep battling like this, mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah, they definitely are. They've been right on the ragged edge, these two Williams drivers already, and we're not even halfway through this race. Steph is like you say, just kind of sitting there at the moment, waiting for an opportunity. Maybe he'll try and undercut the drivers in front, get in front, and then get into that clean air and try and get after Nolan, who is now over 3 seconds behind our two leaders. B Morgan's closed in ever so slightly on Isotopic in the last couple of laps, but isn't quite close enough to really challenge for the race lead. Isotopic doing just enough at the moment to hold on to it, but B Morgan maybe looking like the faster of the two drivers in the second half of this stint, as once again this battle rages on for fourth place. Kiki trying to get the move done on Break FN really late on the brakes into the Casio triangle, but Break FN gets a brilliant run out of the chicane, and that should keep him safe down this pit straight. Old School's not close enough to his teammate this time round, and Steph isn't close enough either. Jan is starting to close back in on Steph again as these guys start to battle, and Hero Jokin is kind of ebbing and flowing his pace. Sometimes he'll catch up to the back of Jan, and then other times he'll lose pace again and drop further back. So it's kind of just a wait and see who's going to be the first person to blink on pit stops, or whoever the first person is that's going to make a mistake. And at the moment you can't really see any of these drivers making a mistake.
No, they're doing an excellent job battling and keeping it clean, and just driving great. I mean, you must underestimate how hard the first sector is in dirty air. Free air, it's really nice to do, but in dirty air you've got so much understeer, and it's easy to lose the car on a curve.
Oh, sorry, I was about to jump in there. It was Old School nearly runs to the back of his teammate. Steph was trying to go for the move at the hairpin. He had a look, and that caught Old School out in the braking zone a little bit. He ran a bit deep. Steph's trying to get the move done, maybe down towards Spoon, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to get it done. Meanwhile, Nolan and Old School have picked up time penalties for exceeding track limits, so that's going to affect their race as it goes on. The drivers around them are still clean, so Nolan is under threat from losing that third place to Break FN, who is kind of keeping the gap at 1.7 seconds. Meanwhile, B Morgan's gone for the move on Isotopic. B Morgan's used a bit of ERS and has got into the race lead. Isotopic drops down into second place, but Isotopic will have DRS down the pit straight. Do either of them come into the pit lane? I wonder. No, they don't. B Morgan looks like he may have kept hold of his soft compound tyres a little bit better than B Morgan, who's now in front of him, and B Morgan, the advantage swings towards him.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I didn't expect him to overtake Isotopic there. I thought it was going to be on the start-finish straight, on the DRS straight. But yeah, let's see if he can drive away from Isotopic now. He has a great chance of winning this race.
He really does, yes. Can Isotopic hold on? You can tell that he's just not as comfortable at the moment on the softs. We have reached that pit stop window. We've got a few drivers into the pit lane. Break FN and Kiki are both in, and they've both gone for the hard compound tyres. So they've gone a bit more conservative. Break FN has got a bit of a gap to Kiki, so he can maybe try and pull away from the Williams man. But a little bit shocked maybe that they're going for the hards. I was shocked that Steve and Simply Superman went for the hards at the start of the race. They've shown decent pace on them, but even so, I would expect the medium tyres to be the way to go.
Yeah, I would expect the same, and I think it's the fast strategy. But yeah, it's better to be safe than sure. If you think you're gonna get into puncture territory and you can't save your tires, yeah, then better go for the slower but safer tire.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a yellow flag in the middle sector. That's Lighty that's gone for yet another spin. So Lighty's race has gone from bad to worse to utterly horrible when he's now missing a whole chunk of his front wing, so he's going to have to come into the pit lane and replace that at the end of this lap. What a shame. He's just not been comfortable on these hard tyres since he put them on at the start. Meanwhile, are any of the leaders coming into the pit lane? Yes, both of our race leaders are into the pit lane, and B Morgan, nice, a topic, picks up a time penalty for speeding, and so does Nolan. That's so easy to do around this track. Kiki picked one up as well. Because of the downhill braking zone for the pit lane, it is very easy to do that, and that means that they have now picked those up, and all three of them are onto the medium compound tyres. Hero Jokin is in. Charlie's into the pit lane as well, interestingly. So he was started on the medium tyres, only got to the end of lap 9 on those mediums, and now has put a set of hard tyres on. So is that an omen that maybe the medium tyres aren't as long lasting as we think?
Yeah, I think so. I'm starting to doubt for my own race tomorrow as well, but yeah, I thought it was for sure it was going to be soft medium strategy, but yeah, B Morgan, Ice Topic and Nolan are trying, so yeah, maybe we'll get a puncture or two at the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see.
And Nolan's gone off the road. Nolan made a mistake in the first part of the S section. Flores got the move done, and then Nolan spun purely on his own. Just coming out of the pit lane on those medium tyres, some opponent position. Nolan has almost spun himself out of contention. Break FN is through, Kiki's through, and Langfell's through. Now Hero Jokin's trying to get the move done as well. Can't get it done into the first second, but Nolan from a great position has spun himself out of contention. He doesn't look comfortable on the medium tyres yet, and that now puts Break FN into a net third place.
Wow, great, yeah, and that shows a mistake is easily made. I mean, there's no runoff at this track, so if you get a little bit, your corner a little bit wrong, it's just gonna or end your race or gonna set you back. So yeah, and that's just what happened to Nolan.
Yeah, it is. We've got our two leaders into the pit lane then, so Old School is in, so is Steph. They come in. Jan is interestingly staying out. So this is one thing to keep an eye on. Jan is still on these soft tyres, and we've seen this a couple times from Jan this season, where he runs incredibly long on this first set of tyres, and it's worked for him a couple times in the past. Maybe he doesn't think that those that have already gone for the mediums, maybe he doesn't think that those people will get to the end, so maybe he's just trying to extend these soft tyres as much as he can, and then puts the medium tyres on a little bit later so that he can assure himself that he'll get to the end of the race. But even so, he's putting himself at risk of losing track position.
Yeah, but he's been lucky in the past as well, because he extended his first stint and a safety car came out which just handed him P1. So can go either way.
It can go either way. Like you say, he's got his teammate directly behind him. Now Steve is maybe trying to get the move done on his teammate, because simply Superman has closed in on the back of these two drivers now on his set of hard compound tyres. They have dropped Harry Nawag almost completely, and Harry Nawag doesn't look that comfortable on the mediums. The mediums don't be showing a lot of pace at the moment, as Jan has led his teammate through. So Steve now leads the race on these set of hard compound tyres. You would imagine he'll probably go to about lap 18 or 19 and then put a set of the soft compound tyres on for the end of the race. So look out for him at the end of the race. He could have some lightning pace. Meanwhile, this battle going on at the moment for a net P4. Kiki is going to get the move done on Flores down towards Spoon, gets down the outside and gets the move done. He's ahead of the McLaren man, and now Old School is trying to get past that car as well, but Old School's actually broken his front wing somewhere. So he's obviously run into back of maybe Flores or his teammate somewhere and has broken his front wing. Jan is into the pit lane, but Old School on the back foot. Oh, and he's run into the back of Flores there, down the straight. Oh, and he's hit him coming down towards 130R. My word, what on earth was that from Old School? We just ran clean into the back of the McLaren man, coming down into the corner. Flores has been spun around, and Old School has just completely taken himself out of contention.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I'm not sure what happened there. He ran into the back of him, and after that he sideswiped him, because I think he almost lost the car. But yeah, not what we're used to seeing of Old School. I mean, normally it's a really smart driver, but yeah, just a little mistake, and it ends Flores' race and his own race.
That is an absolute disaster, from winning last time out by a comfortable margin to kind of just being at the back of the field once again. Lighty, the only person on track still in the session that will be behind Old School. Also back out in 16th place. What a disaster for Old School. Actually, he will be in last, because Lighty is just going to go right around the outside of him. So that's going to drop Old School into last place in this race. What a disaster for him. That has somewhat let Kiki off the hook, and now Kiki can have a run. Oh, as I was about to say that, Kiki can have a run. He makes a mistake coming out the hairpin, and that's going to allow Steph through down the inside on those medium tyres. Everyone seems to be moving out of Steph's way. First, Old School makes the mistake, and now the other Williams, the Kiki, makes a mistake out of a hairpin on those hard compound tyres, and all of a sudden Steph is now running in a net P4 with a clear run at a podium.
Yeah, it's like the parting of the Red Sea for Steph at the moment. Everybody moves out the way, like you said. But what is surprising to me, I was assuming B Morgan overtook Ice Topic, he would just fly away. But Ice Topic is doing a stellar job of staying within a second of B Morgan at the moment.
Yeah, doing a really, really good job, and obviously this is going to help both of these drivers at the moment in the driver's standings, with Jan only 12th at this point as Steph sets the fastest lap of the race. So now that he's in clean air, can he really start to put the hammer down? He was stuck a little bit in the back of the queue at the start of the race. What is his pace like now that he has free air? How quickly can he close in on Break FN, who, much like Simply Superman and Steve at the front of the field, looks far more comfortable on the hard compound tyres than other people that have already put them on at the same time. Kiki doesn't look that comfortable on the hard tyres at all, and Hero Jokin seems to be struggling a little bit for pace as well. He's got Jan coming up behind him now after his pit stop as well, so look out for him trying to work his way through the field. It's been a fairly clean race so far, not too chaotic for Division 3 standards, but we're now halfway through the race at this point in the race. It's absolutely flown by, and B Morgan and Isotopic continue to just disappear at the front of the field.
Yeah, I mean, they already have a almost 7-second gap to Break FM, and yeah, they're all doing great. I mean, I would have expected a safety car at the start of the race, because it can be quite chaotic, everybody packed together in a first sector like here in Japan. But yeah, doing a great job. And at the moment, Kiki can still keep up with Steph, and Steph is closing the gap to Break FM pretty fast at the moment.
Yeah, Break FM was, no pun intended, but Break FM will want a break from all of this. These queue of cars starting to form behind him. It happened in the start of the race, and it could happen very soon as well, as Kiki picks up a penalty. Meanwhile, B Morgan's going to get the move done on his teammate Harry Nawag, and that's crucial for this race. Harry Nawag lets his teammate through down the pit straight, and now there's a car directly between him and Isotopic, and Isotopic is going to get held up here, and this could really help B Morgan's race if Harry Nawag stays in between these two drivers on those medium tyres. He doesn't quite have the pace of those around him, and you can see B Morgan already disappearing off. This is torture for Isotopic, with no overtaking opportunities within the next 5 corners.
Yeah, first opportunity is to start finish straight, or maybe the hairpin they're going now, but he's too far away. So yeah, Harry is really proving his teammate good at the moment with holding up Isotopic. This is what B Morgan needed, and to break away from Isotopic.
And Isotopic's going to go for the move at Spoon here, down the inside line. Harry Nawag's trying to defend it, goes around the outside, and Isotopic can't get the move done. So he wastes a bit of ERS trying to get it done and can't do it. So now that's affected his run coming out of the corner, and it's only going to allow Harry Nawag more opportunities to try and defend that position. So Harry Nawag down towards 130R, has enough of a gap. Harry Nawag won't be within DRS range of his teammate, I don't think, through the detection point. He's just outside of it, unfortunately, for Harry Nawag. So Isotopic should try and get the move done now down the pit straight. Harry Nawag is probably going to stay out on track. He does. So Isotopic on to his ERS. You would imagine Harry Nawag is going to try and defend it to try and help his teammate out, but Isotopic is just going to breeze around the outside line towards turn 1 and gets up into 4th place on the road. But crucially, that's dropped him just outside of DRS range. Isotopic, what's crucial for his race now is that he gets back within that DRS range before the lap's finished.
Yeah, but it's a relatively small gap, so I think he will do it, and he even has more ERS than B Morgan. So even though Harry did a great job trying to help B Morgan, his remote teammate, I don't think it helped him too much.
Meanwhile, Jan is on a recovery drive at the moment. He's worked his way past Hero Jokin on those hards, and now he is past Langfell as Old School that's the fastest lap of the race. Jan is now past Langfell and up into 10th place, 2.5 seconds to the drivers in front, but they are now all in a queue behind Break FN, who's on the hard tyres, and Jan is on the freshest set of medium compound tyres, with both Kiki and Nolan having time penalties in front. So whilst Jan maybe had a bit of a sluggish start to the race, he's worked his way through nicely after his first pit stop, and is now starting to work his way back towards the drivers in front, and it's not out of the question that Jan could still walk away from this round with the championship lead.
No, it isn't. It's kind of maybe the laid back finish finish mood he has. He has to get in the rhythm. Takes a little bit longer than the rest of the guys, but once he is in that rhythm, he's just flying and showing great pace. So yeah, don't count him out yet. And gap to XL is 2.6 seconds, and probably in a couple of laps time, he's on his back as well.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if he can continue this pace and try and get to the back of him. Obviously, Nolan has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, I believe, and a 3-second penalty for track limits, and I believe Kiki has exactly the same, so that's 8 seconds at the moment. So even if Jan is this far back, he would capitalise on both of their penalties. Kiki's trying to get the move done on Steph here, but can't get it done. Steph, meanwhile, having passed Kiki, hasn't pulled away from Kiki, and while he is closing in on Break FN, he's not closing in at the pace we would have expected. So I'm wondering whether we were completely wrong with our strategies, and actually the hard compound tyres are the better tyre to be on.
I think so, because the medium tyres should be fastest at the moment, but if he can't get away from Kiki, there is going to be a point that the hards are going to be better than the medium. So I think looking back at it now, even though the race is still on the way, I think the hard tyre is the way to go.
Yeah, and I think I'm just actually looking at the gaps now between B Morgan and Simply Superman. It's still 6 seconds. That was exactly the gap between Simply Superman and Harry Noirg when they got the moved on and Harry Noirg. So since B Morgan and Isotopic have got through on the other Renault, they've not actually closed in on Simply Superman, and actually Steve has pulled away from Simply Superman in those previous laps a little bit. So, and actually looking at the gap as well between Harry Noirg and Break FN and then Isotopic, Break FN's lost maybe about a 10th in the last few laps to the two net race leaders. So it is showing that the hard compound tyres are holding up pretty well and have good pace in them. So I think we were completely wrong with our strategy bet. Steph has had a good run coming out of the chicane, but Break FN has enough ERS in his back pocket and enough of a gap to hold on into the first corner. And then you get into the first sector, which is where the medium tyres seem to be struggling the most because of the excessive amount of corners. The medium tyres are probably just falling foul of the same thing the softs do and are just overheating.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, with B Morgan and Isotopic, could be that they're just driving safe because they've got quite a big margin to Break FN, 6 seconds, almost 7. So it could be they're not going all out, just to be sure that they can make it. And B Morgan is just setting the pace for this race.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that is the case. Can they hold on to that kind of pace? Meanwhile, since Jan's passed Langfeld, he's actually lost time now. It's now 4 seconds behind Nolan, so he's lost nearly a second on that previous lap to the drivers in front, or over a second. So Jan, since passing Langfeld, just doesn't have the pace to close in, really. So maybe that DRS train for these drivers in front is actually helping them pull away a little bit with the straight line speed and the slipstream they're going to be having around that area. Isotopic has obviously closed back in on B Morgan and is stuck with him and has more ERS to hand, but obviously Isotopic has that time penalty on him as well. So if B Morgan does want, if B Morgan does start to struggle on these mediums, you can let Isotopic through, and Isotopic can just try and sit within 5 seconds as Isotopic can pick up the win that way. So either way, it seems to be advantage B Morgan at the moment.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I think he's just setting the pace now. Not doing crazy stuff, and Isotopic can keep up with him. As Steph is really closing the gap down to Break FN now. I think he's gonna try something in the next lap or the lap after.
Yeah, we have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Isotopic is still under a little bit of threat from Break FN, because obviously Isotopic has the 5 seconds of penalties. He's only 1.3 seconds clear at the moment of Break FN, who has started to close in that gap ever so slightly. So Break FN could still find himself maybe in second place if he can hold on to this 4th place. Steph is fast in the second half of the lap, but he's just not able to keep close enough in the early part of the lap to really do anything about it. So Break FN's doing enough at the moment in 4th place to hold on to that net podium position, and would be his first podium of the season, and that would be another person on the podium. Steve Mimol has come into the pit lane, and surprisingly for me, Steve has come in and put a set of the medium tyres on. So I would have expected Steve to maybe go a couple laps longer and go for a set of softs, because while the medium tyres, yes, will last at the end of the race absolutely fine, the medium tyres just haven't looked strong.
No, it hasn't. And Harry did the thing you just said. He went from the mediums to the soft. So he is trying to make it work. And I'm curious. His gap is 9 seconds now to Charlie, and I'm really curious to see what the difference in speed is between the softs and the hards at this moment with a lighter car.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the pace is at the moment. He's stuck behind Langfeld since obviously Steve came into the pit lane. When Jan came into the pit lane, he was directly behind his teammates, so Steve's not actually lost really any time staying out a bit longer. But oh my word, look at that defense from Langfeld into turn 1. That was constantly moving across on Steve in the braking zone, and Steve had to back out of it into the first corner. So that was a very aggressive defense there from Langfeld. That was a little bit on the edge from Langfeld actually. He was just continuously moving across, and the only option Steve had was to back out of the move. So Steve in 10th place probably won't be very pleased with that.
No, I think not. And yeah, I can completely understand if he sends in a video of that. But yeah, still, These guys, Steve is really getting anxious now to get past Langfell. He's really looking left and right, just wanting to let himself seen by Langfell in his mirrors, trying to get him out of his concentration at the moment.
Yeah, really trying to get that move done. He doesn't obviously be under pressure from Hero Joking behind, and Charlie there as well, as Lighty has retired from the session unfortunately in the pit lane. What a disastrous race it's been for Lighty, down in 18th place pretty much for the majority of this race. He's really struggled to find any sort of pace around here. Steve may be trying to go for the move down towards 130R, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. Simply Superman is into the pits, but he speeds into the pit lane, so that's a penalty added on to his race. He'll probably go for the soft tyres from this point in the race. Isotopic is slowly but surely starting to close in on the back of B Morgan here, so B Morgan isn't looking quite as comfortable on the mediums as he was on the softs. Where does Simply Superman meanwhile come out relative to the drivers around him? On the soft compound tires, he'll come out behind. There goes Jan, there goes Langfell, Steve, there goes Hero Jokin, and Charlie had a massive moment in the background there, I think, and Simply Superman, I think, is just going to get out ahead of Charlie. So Simply Superman out into 11th place. With a few drivers in front of him he can attack, Simply Superman could be the one on the charge in the second half of this race.
Yeah, he can, but it's a massive DRS train in front of him, so yeah, he really has to if he wants to do it, he has to do it quick, and he has to get one place every lap now, because elsewhere his tires are gonna heat up, as we saw before in the first stint with a lot of guys.
Yeah,
and he isn't able to do it.
He's already onto the back of Hero Jokin though, absolutely flying as Simply Superman. Is he going to look for a move at the hairpin? No, he's not quite close enough. Meanwhile, Nolan has picked up yet another penalty to his name, and look at that, look at the grip that Simply Superman has coming out of the hairpin. Trying to get the move done on the Alpha Tauri man. Maybe we'll have a look to the inside for Spoon, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. He'll probably wait for maybe a move into 130R. We'll wait and see, but he runs a little bit wide in the first part of Spoon. He's got to get these moves done as early as possible so he doesn't overheat his tyres like you say, but he just isn't quite close enough. Meanwhile, Isotopic is looking very close to the back of B Morgan now. It's only 0.3 of a second. Will Isotopic go for the move down the pit straight? He's on his DRS. He's got the DRS open. B Morgan is trying to defend this one, I think. Coming down towards turn 1, B Morgan moves to the middle of the road, but Isotopic's going to go to the inside line, and Isotopic is back into the lead of the race, but at the moment that won't be enough as Isotopic runs a little bit wide there in the second part of the corner, but gets away with it, holds on to the race lead. B Morgan down into second place as now Steph picks up a time penalty. B Morgan though can just sit behind Isotopic by 5 seconds and still pick up that win, unless B Morgan picks up a penalty himself. But at the moment, you've got to say that B Morgan isn't looking likely to do that. So Isotopic, while he is in the lead of the race, it is still advantage B Morgan.
Yeah, it is, and Isotopic really has to get his pace up, because Break FN is slowly but surely reeling him in, and 5 seconds isn't a lot, because he's already in 6.5 seconds behind, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, really has to pick up his pace if he wants to finish in P2 behind B Morgan.
Yeah, he's really going to try and get the move done, and you've got to say, if these three drivers, 3rd, 4th and 5th now, they've dropped Nolan pretty much completely at this point. Nolan just doesn't seem to have the pace, and he's got one of the oldest set of medium tyres inside the top 10, apart from Langfell. So Nolan's showing that he's struggling a little bit on those medium tyres. He's dropped off the back of Kiki, and Kiki, well, I was about to say Kiki was all over the back of Steph, but I think Kiki himself has just made a mistake at Spoon, so he's dropped a little bit further back now, and he might drop outside of DRS range, so Steph could have a clear run at Break FN down towards the first corner, but Steph has picked up that time penalty, and Break FN hasn't got one as of yet, so Break FN still in the pound seat to take home a podium, but Steph has had a brilliant run coming out of the chicane. Break FN moves to the right hand side. Steph is going to try and go for the outside line into turn 1. Break FN trying to defend the move, but just can't do it, and finally Steph is up into 3rd place. He gets the move done. Break FN tries to come back at him at the second corner, but just doesn't have the grip to do so. Steph up into 3rd place. Now what can he do about the gap between himself and the two leaders?
Yeah, he really has to get a move on and move out of the way of Break FN, but yeah, to be honest,
oh my word, sorry to jump in. Look at this mess that we've got in this first part of the lap. Steve has got the move done on Langfell finally in the S section, and Simply Superman having passed Hero Jokin's trying to get the move done on Langfell as well, who runs wide, and Break FN's left the session, unfortunately. He's had a connection problem. What a shame for Break FN, who's looking at his first podium. He's disconnected from the session. That is such a shame. Hopefully he can join back in and still capitalise on the people's penalties in front of him. But Langfell now on the oldest set of medium tyres is just dropping like a stone. He's been overtaken left, right and centre, and now Hero Jokin's trying to get the move done on him as well. Langfell proving that the medium tyres are starting to go off, and he's dropped behind Steve and Simply Superman, and now Hero Jokin and Charlie are starting to crawl all over the back of him as well.
Yeah, and he really it's too late to pit actually if he wants to go to the softs as well. It's just going to lose him too much time. So I hope he can take these tires to the end of the race. But Break FN, oh man, really, it's something else. Just connection issues because he was doing so well today, and I really believe he would have got a podium if he didn't have this issue.
He really would, yeah. He has joined back in the session, so if he can get back into that car in enough time, he is still within penalty range of Kiki and Nolan, so he could still be on for a P4 finish here if he can get back into his car before he's overtaken by the two Mercedes drivers behind him. Simply Superman now runs 9th then on those soft tyres, trying to get the move done on the two Mercedes cars, but there's, like you said before the stream started and earlier on in the stream, there's just not really a lot of overtaking opportunities around here, so it's difficult for Simply Superman to get the move done, and being in the back of a DRS train, it's even more difficult for him. So I bet Simply Superman at this point, while he has the pace, is just frustrated down there in 9th.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, he has the pace, he has the tires, but just doesn't have an opportunity. Sorry about that. And I have a timing glitch on my end. I can't see any interval times at the moment, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I don't have any interval times myself either, so we'll have to wait and see if we can get those back at some point. Maybe when they cross the line they'll start to come back in. But one thing I have noticed is Isotopic was, I think before the timings went, was starting to build a little bit of a gap. They're both pretty much dead on ERS. They don't really have anything to use. So B Morgan maybe just struggling a little bit with these mediums, trying to keep onto the back of the Racing Point, who looks more comfortable in this set of tyres than he did at the start of the race. Isotopic desperate to try and build a gap to B Morgan, who still is penalty free in this race, so B Morgan is going to take the win. Remember, these two are level on points coming into this round, so this would put B Morgan ahead of Isotopic and probably ahead of Jan, who's still languishing down in 7th place at the moment, just doesn't have the pace today. While he's consistent inside the top 10 as he has been all season, just doesn't have the pace of the drivers in front of him, and that's kind of been the story all season, and that could affect Jan towards the end of this championship.
Yeah, but this is, I believe, one of the few races that he wasn't in the top 3. Had great great races so far, and this track really doesn't suit him, because normally, even though his quali wasn't on par every week, his race pace was okay, but he really can't keep up with those guys in front of him.
Yeah, really can't at the moment. Like you say, I think he's had 5 podiums this season, which is more than anybody else, as Steve now picks up a time penalty. I wonder if Steve is just kind of sitting behind his teammate, making sure that Simply Superman doesn't get a run at him, so that Jan can just pick up as many points as he can. I think Break FN, meanwhile, is back in control of his car. He is. So he's back in that Alfa Romeo, which is good to see, and he is still within penalty range of Kiki and Nolan in front, so he will still pick up a P4 if it stays like this. He's nearly within DRS, nearly within penalty range of Steph, actually, as well, if he can keep this pace up. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, I was saying Isotopic was pulling away from B Morgan, but B Morgan is now re-caught Isotopic on this lap and is right tucked up behind him. Has he got a good enough run down this pit straight to have a run at the Racing Point? I don't think he has, and we know B Morgan's quite smart. He's probably not going to go for the move because he knows he'll get it on penalties anyway. Meanwhile, Nolan has gone for the move on Kiki at the Casio Triangle. Kiki is going to come back at him down the pit straight, but Nolan's going to be the one with DRS. I think actually no, neither of them got DRS. I think they crossed the DRS detection point at exactly the same time, so they're going to be running side by side. Hero Jokin's crashed at the last corner onto lap 25. Hero Jokin's gone off the road at the very end of the race, and now Nolan is going to get the move done. Nolan has got past. He's got ahead into 4th place. He's up past Kiki, up into 4th place, but this is only allowing Steph to pull away and Break FN to close back in, and Jan is still within penalty range of Nolan and Kiki, so Jan could still capitalise on those two battling in front. But Hero Jokin, right at the dying depths of the race from a lowly position, has crashed out.
Yeah, I think it was in the last chicane that he crashed out. Maybe going on throttle whilst he was on the outside curve. But yeah, too bad. And this late in the race as well. I mean, he was in a good position to get some good points.
Yeah, it really was. Meanwhile, Steve's actually going for a move on his teammate here. So Steve's trying to get the move done on Jan, but Jan's having absolutely none of it. He goes to defend the line into Spoon, and this is not what we need for the Mercedes drivers. Jan needs to try and pick up those places on Nolan and Kiki in front, and he doesn't need his teammate battling him here. And Steve is really trying to go for it. He's coming under, well, Simply Superman's not really close enough to challenge these two in front. Steve is going to try and go for the move at 130R on his teammate, but backs out of it at the last moment. Jan holds on to the 7th place, but Steve trying to go for the move, but this just seems a little bit counterintuitive for the Mercedes pairing.
Yeah, it does, and they really need the points in the Constructors' Championship as well, so please keep each other Bull, don't press each other out because they're both not in great positions, but in good positions. As simply Superman just breezes by now by Steve at the moment.
And Jan lost the car in turn 1, and Simply Superman's run clean into the back of him. Simply Superman ran into the back of Jan, who lost the car in the first corner, and Simply Superman has broken his front wing, so as soon as he gets the move done, he runs into the back of Jan's car. That is such an unfortunate incident. You can't really put any blame on anyone there. Simply Superman just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and from a disastrous qualifying, he had a good recovery in the race, but it's all been undone, and he will get caught from behind by Langfell and Charlie with that amount of front wing damage. What a shame for Simply Superman, but I tell you what, while it obviously wasn't Jan, you can't really blame Jan for that. That has somewhat helped Jan in this race because now his teammate isn't within DRS range at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, it did. He's got some free air now behind him. He already had it in front of him. Yeah, just unfortunate between Jan and Simply Superman. As you said, he just lost traction, and Simply Superman didn't expect him slowing down there.
Yeah, just such a shame for Simply Superman that is how his race looked like it might be finished. He's holding on pace at the moment quite well in 9th place. Langfell's not really closing in. Langfell on 16 lap old medium tyres, just doesn't seem to have the pace at this point in the race. We are on to the last lap. Isotopic still leads, but B Morgan is just sitting there waiting for the penalty to be applied at the end of the race. Steph is now running in 3rd, but just hasn't had the same pace. No one has had an answer to our top 2 in this race. They are now 8 seconds clear at the front of the field compared to the other drivers, so those 2 have really been in a class of their own today, haven't they?
Yeah, they have been, and yet again, if it stays like this, sorry, I'm touching wood at the moment. Yet again, another leader in the championship.
Yeah, at the moment it does look like B Morgan is going to retake the lead in the championship. A championship lead he lost, I believe, after the Baku round of the season. So he led the early way and he's looked the favourite all season long. And now he could be back into the lead of the championship, but it is all going to close up. Jan, our championship leader, by 13 points. At the moment, only 7th in the field. Both the drivers behind him equal on points. Isotopic and B Morgan, they're both going to be closing in at the end of this race. So it's really going to tighten up into the last couple rounds of the season. Old School sets the fastest lap of the race at the back of the field on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, currently running in 14th place. That's the best he's going to get from this race, unfortunately. But we're coming through to the final few corners of the race. Isotopic has left it to the dying depths to try and break DRS to B Morgan, and has done so at the moment on this lap. But B Morgan won't care one iota about that. Isotopic, again, a great performance from Isotopic. Looks the fastest, but it's a penalty this time around. Last time it was damage that cost him the race victory. This time around it's going to be a penalty that's going to cost Isotopic. He wins on track, but B Morgan is going to be the one that wins on penalties in the end. B Morgan is back on the top step of the podium. TNR Steph will cross the line and he will take 3rd place in this race. Yet another podium for the man on a mission in the championship. Break FN gets 4th ahead of Kiki, who falls into 5th ahead of Nolan 6th. But Jan jumps the pair of them on penalties, nearly gets Break FN as well. My word, Jan was very close to getting 4th in that race, but he gets 5th in the end, which is a good recovery from Jan from a poor qualifying. Steve ends up 7th, Nolan drops to 8th ahead of Simply Superman 9th, and Charlie rounds off the top 10. A good race from him, having struggled on that alternate strategy. Harry Noir will get 11th place ahead of Langfell. Kelvin, we just wait now for Old School and Flores to cross the line. They will be the last persons to finish in this race, but while B Morgan and Isotopic are going to be closing in, and maybe B Morgan now leads the championship, Jan is doing just enough to make that deficit as small as he can.
Yeah, and he just came out of nowhere with his P5. Didn't see that one coming. So yeah, that's last second ditch in defending his 1st place.
Yeah, he's trying his absolute hardest, and even if this is a track that doesn't suit Jan, that is still a good performance from him. You saw today that it was running in the bottom end of the top 10, just didn't seem to have the pace, but still came away a clean race with no penalties and comes home with 5th, and that's the kind of performance you need as to become a champion. We've had B Morgan running races where he's been dominant at the front or he's crashed out. Jan, I think, has finished almost every race this season and has finished almost every race in the top 10, so he's keeping it consistent. But that was a great drive from both B Morgan and Isotopic, and both of them will close in on Jan in the standings at the end of this round, and we believe B Morgan will be the championship leader going into the final 2 rounds of the season. My word, this championship is going to end off on a high. B Morgan then takes the race victory ahead of Isotopic, who yet again misses out on a race victory, but it's another podium from him, and it's another podium for Steph as well, who after this round, even though it's another great performance from him, we might have to rule him out now of the championship standings. Break FN gets his best performance, but it could have been a podium had he not unfortunately disconnected from the session midway through. Jan gets 5th ahead of Kiki in 6th. Again, a great performance in terms of pace, but just a couple of errors and some penalties has cost him A good result. Steve gets 7th on the alternate strategy ahead of Nolan in 8th. What a race it could have been for him, but a spin after the pit stops cost him a shot at the podium. Simply Superman in 9th, Damage late on in the race, and Charlie picks up 10th place. Hanarag, Langfell, Kelvin, Flores, Old School, Damon, Hero Jokin, and Lighty are the people that took part today. Damon was not here. Lighty and Hero Jokin retiring in the midway to the latter stages of the race. Hero Jokin crashing out, Lighty retiring in the pit lane. It was less of a chaotic race than what we've seen so far this season, but it was still a great race nonetheless, and it's made the championship very, very, very spicy for the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, yet again. I mean, these guys just taking each other into an whole other level of driving. I mean, again, Steph a podium, doing great. Second half of the season, Isotopic with a great drive, showing great pace, and B Morgan, I think I can say that was where you expect him to be, because he really looks the fastest this season. Not to take anything away from my topic, but yeah, still I think it's going to be decided in the last race.
I think it definitely is as well. It's looking that way at the moment, and Jan did enough to try and reduce the deficit, but he will lose the championship lead after this round. B Morgan will be our new championship leader. Who knows, that all 3 of them could be tied on points going into the last 2 rounds. Oh, my maths isn't that good. I can't do maths that quick, so we'll have to wait and see. But the last 2 rounds are going to be stellar, and we go to Mexico and Abu Dhabi for the last 2 rounds of the season. So 2 very differing tracks in terms of layout and the racing you get on them. Unfortunately, though, for Division 3, this is the end of Division 3 for this year. My word, 2020 has absolutely flown by. I think time has stopped in 2020. It's been such a truncated year, but we'll be back obviously in the first week of January. We've got the Christmas break now. League Racing TV will finish at the end of this week for Christmas, and we'll be back in the new year in 2021, hopefully for a better year in real life, but to continue on with the great racing we've had in Division 3 so far. So tune into League Racing TV for the rest of the week. CRC runs on the weekends on Saturday and Sunday. We are looking for a commentator for those series, so if you are interested in being a commentator for CRC, get in touch with us and we'll see if we can sort something out. And obviously tune in tomorrow as well for the Japan rounds for Division 4 and 5, and go and cheer on Conti for us as well, Arcocom, see if he can get hopefully another race win this season. We'll wait and see, and I think he's got an insight now into how the strategies work around Japan, which was a little bit all over the place. But that is where we're going to finish off today, guys. Thank you very much to everyone for watching, and thank you as well to all the drivers for taking part. Thank you to Conti for joining me in the Common Sports once again, and we will see you in 3 weeks time in 2021. From myself and Conti, it is thank you very much and goodbye.